So welcome back everybody to Coding Made Easy Academy. Today we'll be answering these past questions. I think it was the last year's past question. Okay, the year is not clear. So in these two sessions the Excel part and the coding aspect part. So this video is based on the coding aspect. So this question started from session B. We'll be looking at it from session B. It says calculate the number of bytes required to store the numbers 274,592 in the computer's memory, 4 mark. So this question carry 4 mark, and as you can see this question, you are not supposed to spend more than 1 minute in this question. Actually, you are not calculating anything. It's very simple. It's bonus mark. This question, it says calculate, but the truth of it is that there's nothing there to calculate. The answer is simply int. How do I know? To be able to answer this question, it's a bonus question mark. You need to understand the concept of the data table. Now, in coding, like I said in the previous video, we have two types of data type. Before you start coding, the two fundamental concepts you need to get familiar with or understand is variable and data type, right? I will say variable is a data name that is temporarily used to store data. So variable is temporarily used to store data, and while a data is simply information. So data have different types. We have two types of data. We have the primitive data type and the non-primitive. So in the primitive, we have table. Under that table, we have this is the table. Let me show you the table now. So this is the table. Edited this table myself. So this is under the primitive data type. We have the primitive and non-primitive. So under the primitive, this is the table. So the question they were asking you there, then you can see we have different column. Column for data type, byte, bit, unsigned range, signed range. I wrote the formula. The formula for signed range is simply unsigned range divided by 2. Then we have formats. It's actually format specifier, please. Format specifiers. So now under this, the question says calculate the number of bytes required to store that range of number, which is 274,592. So it's saying what number of bytes can store this in the computer memory. Now you go all the way to byte column. How can you, to answer that question, you need to be familiarized with this table. So what I tell students that on the day of the exam, the first thing you have to do, just create this table, draw it out, everything on it. Now you can see how can we do this? Because you are seeing a lot of several values. How can you cram this? How can you put this to memory? The truth is that honestly, you have nothing to cram. You have nothing to. The only thing you have to remember as producing this table is concerned is just the data type columns, what you have there, and the byte. That is all. Every other thing you can produce from just these two columns. So in the data type, generally speaking, in primitive we have number data type, string data type, and boolean data type. The number, string, and boolean. So in the table we now have the float. I've done a very good editing video on this before. Watch it out, please. Number, string, and boolean. We also have null and undefined, but you don't need that for now. So in the primitive table, this is it right now. Under number is broken into two categories. We have integer numbers. Integers numbers are numbers that don't have decimal point. Example 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 100. They don't have decimal point. Then we have decimal numbers. Decimal numbers are numbers that have decimal point, like 2.5, 5.8, just like that. So under integer numbers, which are numbers that don't have decimal point, we have three categories of data type. We have the short, we have the int, and we have the long. In respect to C, not in other languages. In C, it is short, int, and long, right? But for decimal, it is float and double. That's why you see that a little bit of extra gap. So the first three, which is short, int, long, under the data type column, falls under the what? Number data type. Because let's go again. We have types of data, general speaking, general concept. Type of primitive data rather. They are number data type, string data type, and boolean data type. So number data type, string data type. This is it. We have the number data type, string data type, and boolean data type. So under this number which we have, number is broken into integer numbers, and then it is now broken into decimal numbers. So under these decimal numbers, we have that's why we have this short, we have int. You can see the color is changing to tell you that the computer recognizes this keyword long. So these are for integer. Then for decimal numbers, that's where we get our float and wow, okay, float and int, then double, float and double. So this is just it. Okay, this is just it. So under this, we have integer, we have short, int, long. That's the first three data type you are seeing in the table: short, int, long. Then the next one is float and double, right? Which is the other one, float and double. So for short, int, and long, they fall under integer. That's numbers that have decimal point. For float and double, they fall under decimal. Numbers that have decimal point. Altogether, they fall under what? The number data type. So going back to the table, each of these data type have their memory capacity, that is the byte, and that is what the question was asking us. It says calculate the number of bytes required to store this 200 and this number, which is 274,592. I'm sorry I'm fast. I'm trying to make the video as quick as possible, so it won't be very long. So 274,592 in the computer's memory. So just go to the byte. Now we have a lot of values. We have the byte, bit, unsigned range, signed range. In your questions in exam, when you draw out this table, questions will be coming from I know that the questions will be coming out from is between the first three columns, that is data type, byte, bit, and unsigned range. Rarely will they bring question from and signed range. Rarely will they bring question from unsigned range. They will only bring question from this part, signed range. So let me zoom this part. I mean this part, signed range. This is where questions will likely come out from. So to answer that question straight away, they say calculate the number of bytes, which is what we have in this column, byte. Which of these is 2 bytes, 4 bytes, 8 bytes? So let's go again to that question. In number data type, right, we have values. Example of number, we have number data type, string data type, boolean data type. Examples of the values of number data type: 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Just like that, right? Then for boolean, we have that the only value it has is simply true or false. This is the only value you have, true or false. Then for string, we say string is simply anything that is written in between quotation mark. So it could be 5, but with the moment it is written in between quotation mark, it is no longer 5, it is a string. It could be G. The moment it is written between quotation mark, it is no longer G, it is now a string, and the value it contains is G. So it is not only for double quote, it can also be single quote. So but so long, because double for quotation mark is either double or single, right? So long it is written in between quotation mark, it is a string. So a string is anything written between quotation mark, being double quote or single quote. While a boolean is a boolean variable. Boolean values are either true or false. So when you see true, false in this spelling starting from small letter, you all know it's a boolean variable or boolean data type. But you see all these numbers, different set of numbers, just know that they are under number data type. So one rule you should keep in mind again, we spoke about variables, right? We said the fundamental concept you need to understand is variables variables and data type. Right? Data type. So we've not about data type. These are the type of data we have. We have the number and string and boolean. These are data type. Now in bracket, I have to put primitive data type. So number data type is broken into short, int, long, and float and double as well. So what about variable? We said variable is anything. Variable is a data name. Name. Temporally, somewhere my spelling temporally used to store data. So let's look at something. I said keep this rule in mind. Anything that is written in between quotation mark, it is a what? A string. So it means 5 in quotation mark is a string, but 5 that is not a quotation mark is not a string, it's a number. So one rule you should keep in mind here, this is the meaning of a variable. So how can you identify a variable? How can you know that this is a variable when you see one? One rule you should keep in mind about a variable is that anything that is not written in between quotation mark, the computer sees it as a string. Anything that is not written, see, not is a special keyword that is not written in quotation mark is a string. Sorry, the computer sees it as a variable. Quotation mark is a variable. So it means if I come here and write school, is school it? I put it in quotation mark. School here is a string, right? If I come here and write school just like this is no longer a string. This is a string. This one here is a string. Why this one? I hope you are reading. Okay. Why this one is a variable? Because why? It is not written in between quotation mark. So whatever is not written in between quotation mark is a variable, and any variable you have, you have to indicate the type it belongs to. Is it a number data type? Is it a number data type? Is it a string? Is it a boolean? So in this case, and that's one thing, you have to end every variable with a semicolon, every of your code rather. So if I'm to specify, let me say this school here. Okay, I can also say age. Age here is a variable, right? Because there's no quotation mark around it. So I have to specify age. Age in this case is a number data type. So I'll choose any of these following. I can choose short, I can choose float, I can choose double. Let me choose int in this case. So these are to create a variable. What we've done, we've created a variable. In case you are asked, just create a variable without assigning. So this is creating a variable without assigning data to this variable, or to the variable rather. This is creating a variable without assigning data to the variable. Then when you want to now assign data to it, you can now say age is equal to, let's say, 23. So you don't have to put the int again. You only put it once. This int here it means you are telling the computer create a variable that has a name called age. Then so this is just the creation. Over here, this is the assigning data to the variable. You can see the data here in this case is what? 23, because data can come in any form. It can come as a number, it can come as a string, it can come as true or false. So data are used to variables are used to store data. That is the concept here. So the first one, we created the variable without assigning data to it. The second part, which is line 14, we assign a data to it. So you can also create a variable and assign data to it all at the same time. You can say level, the guy is in 200 level. So 200 level, you have to specify the type, right? In this case, I'll say int. Good. I can say short, I can say long. So how do you know which one to use? And that was what that question was actually asking. So when do you use which? Is it int? Is it short? Is it long? How do you know which one to use? Or is it float? Is it double? The first thing in every such questions like that, when you approach such questions, what you have to ask yourself. Now the question was 274,274,592, 274,592, 274,592. So this is 274,592. This is the number. So first of all, ask yourself, this data, what type of data is it? Is it number? Is it string? Is it boolean? It's number, right? You got it. It's number. So that is one. You've got one part, number. So what type of number is it? Does it fall under integer numbers or decimal numbers? So it falls under integer, right? So meaning you have no business with float or double, right? You only have business with short, int, and long. So among these three, which one do you have to use now? This is how you will be able to get your answer. So let's say we want to put it in a variable because data are stored where? The place where data are stored is where? Variable. So let's say we want to put it in a amount. You can give your variable any name of your choice, whatsoever name you prefer. Remember, end every statement with a semicolon. It's just like your full stop when encoding semicolon. You can give it any name of your choice. I've talked about this in depth in the previous video. In case I'm too fast and you're finding it difficult to get it, you can just watch the video. So this is it. Now we need to specify what type it is. It is a number, obviously. So meaning we are dealing with either short, int, and long. When do you know which to use? In every question like this, the first thing you should ask us, you should consider, the rule here is that consider the least data type that can store this value. The least data type that can store this value. So the least data type here is what? Short. So we're going to check, can short store this value? How can we know? We don't know. We can know through this table. We'll now go back to the table. So we have several columns. To solve this question, how you can know if short can store this value? You check the column of the signed range, not the unsigned, please. Signed range, this is this part here, signed range. So for short can only store a maximum value. Now you can see it has minus from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767 reduced by 1. So it means it can store the maximum negative value it can store is minus 32,768. While for positive value, the maximum or the largest positive number I can store is 32,000, not 3,200,000, 32,000. But our question here, we have 274,592. So can short store this value? Short cannot store this value because the maximum number I can carry is 32,000. So you can see that question. To answer that question, all you have to do, if you produce your table on your exam, during your exam, just go to your signed range. Go to your signed range, look at the table. Short cannot store it. Since the list which is short cannot store it, you proceed to the next. The next there is what? Int. Now let's check on int. Can int store this? Now are we dealing with negative numbers or positive number? Positive. So we're only concerned with the positive part. So the positive, the maximum or the largest number the short int can store, which is int, is actually, you can see, is billion. 2 billion 149, it's 2 billion actually. More than 2 billion actually. More than 2 billion. So it's actually 2 billion 149,000,000 483,647. So meaning int can store this number far beyond what you expect. So it has the question there was 200 and something thousand, right? But int have a memory up to a billion, so int can definitely store it. And int have how many bytes? 4 bytes. So that is just it. That's the so meaning in the question what they were asking you to do, the answer to this question, all you have to just do is write 4 bytes. Finish. That's all. You've gotten 4 mark. You shouldn't spend more than 1 minute answering this. The question again says calculate the number of bytes required to store this number 274592 in the computer's memory. The number of bytes will now be what? So consider what type of data is this? It's a number, right? Is it an integer or decimal? Integer. So what type of integer data type can store this number under byte? Can 4 bytes, can 2 bytes, can 8 bytes store it? 2 bytes cannot store this number because 2 bytes can only hold up to 32,000. 4 bytes can store this number because 4 bytes can hold up to 21 billion. So meaning the answer to this question is 4 bytes. Let's go back to our table. You can see 4 bytes. Int here is 4 bytes. Under signed range, these are the values you can store. So the question is, how did we come about this table? Once you remember this data type, short, int, long, float, double, bool, and char, then remember the bytes. These are the only 2 columns you need to remember. Short have 2 bytes of memory, int have 4 bytes of memory, long have 8 bytes of memory. Mind you, the material is wrong. You see in several days because the woman who said it in class that the material is wrong, and most of the past questions are wrong as well. Float have 4 bytes of memory, double have 8 bytes of memory, bool have 1 byte of memory, char 1 byte of memory. So for the bit, how do we put this value? It's simple. The formula is just simply this is the formula actually. You just say 2 raised to the power of 8 times byte, number of bytes. So this is the formula. So 2 is power of 8 times number of bytes. Let's go. For the first one, it will be 2 is power of 8 times bytes, right? How many bytes does short have? 2. So it will be 2. Let's see it visually. For short have 2 bytes of memory. Short have 2 bytes of memory in this case. Int have 4 bytes of memory, and long have 8 bytes. So considering for short now, it will be 2 times 2 is power of 8 times byte. The byte there is for 2. So 2 times 8, it will be equal to 2 raised to the power of 16. And that's why here we have that byte. Short is 2 raised to the power of 16. The same goes for int. It will be 8 times 4, which is 32. 8 times 8, 64. Repeatedly, just like that. Then for 1, 8 times 1, it is 8. So this is how you produce the byte column, the values. Then for the unsigned range, all you have to do is to carry your calculator, punch 2 to the power of 16. It will give you 65536, just like that. To give you all this value in the unsigned range. Then to get the signed range, all you have to do is to divide each of them by 2. Then just share the parts, negative and positive. Positive reduced by 1. So just say 2 divided by 65,533 divided by 2. You get 32,768. So just assign one part to negative as is, positive as is. That is just what you need to remember. That is just what. Then for the format specifier, you need this when you are dealing with variables, when you want to print them out. So for the numbers, wow. So okay, that will be a lot of information. The number short, int, long, they are all %d, %d, %d. For floats, %f, double, %lf, bool, %d, and char, %c, and %s. Now, it is this chart that happens to be complicated in coding. We see. I've done a video on this. I don't think I'll be dealing with this in order not to make this video very long. You can check it out. I've done it. It's not long as well. So we've answered this question. Beautiful. We've answered this question. So the answer to this question is what? 4 bytes. You've gotten 4 mark. You are good to go. Now let's see this one. It says write a program to receive the numbers in A. Where's A now? Okay. Write a program to receive the number in A above as user input and store in the computer memory. You see? Okay, what it's saying that write a program to receive this number, that is 274,592 as user input, and then store it in the computer memory. Wonderful. At this point now, we need to start writing code. So let's refresh. The two fundamental concepts you need to remember when learning coding is variables and data type. Variables are data name temporarily used to store what? Data, right? What is data? Data is simply information. Right? So information, and information comes in different form. The form in which information come with are what we regard as the data type. So we have types of data. We have the number data type. String data type, and Boolean data type. So in this number data type, it is further divided into integer and decimal, which is what we have here, integer and decimal. So under integer, we have short, int, and long. Under decimal, we have float and double. So let's begin to write our code now. Let's write some code. Let me minimize so that we'll get a new file. So when you're writing your code, you have to put some things in place. You have to do some what we call setup. If you don't put all these things in place, whatever you do won't be correct. Basically, what the lecturer wanted us to do is this. He said write a code. Let's read it again. He said write a program to receive the number which is up above as user input to store in the computer's memory. So as user input, first of all, the variable, that number is what? It's a data, right? So data are stored in where? In a variable. So let's create a variable. We'll say number. You can name a variable anything of your choice, any name. Give it any name of your choice. So number is equal to let me just copy and paste. Copy. Number is equal to this, right? So I'll specify what type. Can short store it? No, short cannot store this number because short has a memory of what? 2 bytes of memory, and 2 bytes can only hold up to 32,000 with 32k. So we need something greater, which is what? Int. So int can store up to what? 21 billion. So because int have 4 bytes of memory. So this is how you create a variable. This is just what the lecturer wants us to do, but right now we are putting it ourselves. She said as user input, meaning you need to be able to enter something from the console. Now the console is simple. If I run this code now, I'll get a massive error. A lot of things are not in place, so I can't even access my console. This is what I'm talking about. What you've done now, the code you've written is very correct, but it won't work because you have neglected the basic structures, the things you have to put in place. So the first thing you have to do whenever you're writing a code, is to write this #include, then stdio.h, then greater than. I've always said this, that whenever you forget this, just say studio, write your studio.h, then remove the u in case you forget. Studio.h, remove the u. So that's just it. Then once you've written include stdio.h, you will now come here and say int with a small letter, please. Int then main. Please, it has to be main, and the m need to be small letter, not capital letter. This is a rule. Let's try capital letter and see if it will work. So this is just what you have to do. This is structure. From line 2 to line 4, we call it a function. We call it a function. So if I'm to run this, I'll get error because the computer does not know what main that starts with the capital M is. So if I turn this to small letter m, it's going to work now. You can see it's working. So this area, this dark area is our console. So what the question was asking when it says user input, it means at that point, it is at this point they want us to type that value. Then whatever we type will now be entering into our variable. That is what the question is saying. So in this case, I want to quickly show you something. Remember the rules I gave you. I said that a variable, anything that is not written in that's not written in quotation mark, the computer sees it as a variable. So if I'm to come here, let me make an instance. School year is a what? It's a string, right? School year is a string. What if I say okay, school year? What if I say just school? Just school now. School year will be what? A variable. So school in this case is a string. I want to quickly show you something just in case. School year is a variable. The computer sees it as a variable. But this variable now, we don't even know what it is. A variable needs to be carrying something. Is it equal to full pre? Is it equal to full pre as a string? Full pre. Is it equal to unibem? Is it equal to whatsoever? Or is it equal to just 5? A number data type. Is it equal to 5? Or anything? We don't know. So this is just it. Let me go back. School in this case is a line 7 is a string. At line 8, school year is a variable. Now, what about this? School year, it is no longer a variable, neither is it a string. It is now a function. How the computer knows a function is due to this opening and closing bracket, just in case you have that question. That is why in this case we have opening and closing bracket, because we are creating a function. We are simply creating a function. So the function in this case is, the name of the function is main. But how the computer knows a function is this opening and closing bracket. We call it parenthesis. So main in this case is a function. It's a function. While main is a variable. So one rule you should keep in mind, I said you can give your variable any name of your choice, but the two rules is that you must not give your variable the same name as your function, because we already have a function named main, right? I cannot come and create a variable and say the name of this variable is main as well. It will produce, the computer will be confused. It's not going to know what to do. So second rule, I cannot come and say, I already know that short is a reserved keyword, right? That's why I change this color. I cannot say I want to create a variable called short as well. Then it's going to produce an error. Or I cannot say I want to create a variable called for. Neither can I say s. You can see, neither can I even say switch. So I cannot do this. So because when you do something like this, short, it means something else. I'll show you a past question. This was what they wanted to do, but they could not. The woman could not actually analyze the question or whatsoever. So school in quote is a string. School without quote is a variable. School with a bracket is a function. So you can have several functions. What about this curly brace? Curly brace, codes are written in between curly brace. You write your code in between curly brace. Your code goes in here. So code are written in between them. So functions are meant to contain code. That's why when you are creating a function, it always goes with a curly brace. So basically, this is what you have to do. The first thing you have to do the first thing you have to do, first thing line 1, you write this hash include stdio.h. Don't forget your less than or greater than. Then go to your next line, write int. This int simply means it is going to be confusing because you can have several, you have void, you have char, you have float, any type. But I want you to know that it has nothing to do with the variable you'll be creating later. Just take it like this, int. Then main, please, main. Let me quickly explain something. I can have another function that is named volume 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 of volume of a cylinder. This is the name of the function. If I run this, I'm not going to get any errors. See, it still works. But if I'm to write code, so just this from line 7 to line 10 is a what function. From line 2 to line 5 is a function. You can see. So you can put this anywhere actually. You can put this at the same line or at the next line. But just you can put it to the next line. So the point here is that I can just right now I have two functions, right? You can have up to 100 functions. So when the computer runs, it's going to move from top this point all the way to the bottom. As it's moving, is out of, if you like, have 100 function, thousands of function, the computer is only searching for one function out of that thousands of function or 100 of functions you have. It's only searching for a function that have a particular name. So in this case, the name of this function is what? Main. This one, the name of this function is volume of a cylinder. So as the computer is moving from top to bottom, it's looking for the function that have this name called main in small letter. And that's why you notice that when we made this to be capital letter M, it didn't work. So if you have 100 functions and you don't have a function called main, the computer is not going to work. It's going to return an error. But if you have 100 function, as the computer is moving from top to bottom, it's searching for the function that have the name main in small letter m. So the moment he finds that function, he's going to abandon the remaining 99. The 99 is not going to work. So let's see that in action. Let's say printf. We want to print out something. Right now our console is empty. If I run this, our console, there's nothing showing right now. I want to display something in our console. So I'll say printf, get rid of this. This thing I've been doing so far is comment. So printf, I'll say hello world. You can write anything of your choice. Hello Sam, whatsoever you want to write. Then semicolon. So let me repeat that same here. Printf, then I'll say hello world. Just in case some persons are thinking hello world is a special case or code. So if I run this, what do you think we're going to get? We are only going to get hello world in our console. See, hello world. Sorry, hello Sam, which is true. Hello Sam in this case. But what happened to hello world? Why did the computer not run this? That proves my theory. It's not mine actually. Is that just how it is? That proves what I'll be saying. If it doesn't matter the numbers of functions you have in your code, but when the computer is running all this code, it's only going to pick one and abandon the rest. Now, if I want to run this function, I have to call the name. What's the name of this function again? Volume of a cylinder. I'll put it inside the main function. Now, this currently, the computer does not know what it is because the computer sees it as a variable. I need to tell the computer that it's a function. And how do I do that? Put a parenthesis and semicolon. Now, if I'm to run this, I'll get both messages. Wow. Now, it's showing me an error. Why is it showing me this error? Our code is correct. You might think this code is wrong. Now, if you get this error, if you're using a system, you might not get this error. But there's no difference actually. There's no difference. Don't fear our system is this. No. I guess if depend on the code editor. to correct this, the reason we are getting this error, let me just explain. The computer moves from top to bottom. It goes through everything. It gets to this point. You are telling him that there's a function called volume of a cylinder. You want to call that function. But remember, it has been traveling from top to bottom. At the point of this, when it began its travel, it didn't encounter any function of this name. So it's going to be confused. God, I've been moving since I didn't see this function along the way. So it's going to return an error. So to make this work, we'll carry our main function. So the rule here is that if you have more than one function, ensure, I hope you're recording. Okay. If you have more than one function, ensure that your main function comes last in order for it to work. Ensure your main function comes last in order for it to work. So you are going to say, if we run this now we get hello Sam, hello world. I want to make this move to a new line. Just to do that, I'll put escape sequence n. This backward slash n means I want it to move to a new line. That's just what it means. So hello Sam, hello world. So that was just a little bit on function. There was a reason I actually showed you that. But that's not what we want to do. We just deviated rather. Let's go back to our question. So so like I said, when you're writing code, this is the first thing you have to do, right? This is the first thing you have to do. So the question says, write a code that receives user input and store it in a variable. In this case, this is what you actually have to do. Let's create a variable called int the number, then store that value, that range. What's the value again? This is the value. So store it here, semicolon. So I'll print out this statement. Now please take note of this. If you want, you don't print out the value exactly. You can't print it out. If you run this, you produce an error. The rule here is that you cannot print out a number data type. You can only print out a string data type. So let me try it out like this. You see we get the number on our console, but this is not what they wanted us to do. This is wrong. I want to actually print what number is, not the value, because there's no need in creating this number. So to create number now is a what? It's a variable, and this guy here is the data type. So the data type is this number, the variable here is this, the type is this int. So the variable is number. I want to print out number. To do that, for those coming out from JavaScript, Java, other programming word, you can't do this in C. Okay, the variable name is wrong. You can't do this in C. If you do this, error, right? So to do this, you write the number there. Then before it, put your string. You put a string. Then this is how I just it. This is how you do it. If you run this, you see this error. Okay, not error, but don't show anything. But at least you've done something. This is how you print out a variable. This is how you print out a variable. But right now we're not getting anything on our console because we don't actually have a place for this variable to be printed out. So that's where the concept of placeholder, which the woman taught in the class, she spoke about something called placeholder. So that's going back to our table. That's why we have this format specifier. That's where this part comes in, format specifier. So let's go. If you look at our variable, what type are we using? We're using int, right? For format specifier, the int is what? %d. So to print out, whenever you are printing a variable, you make use of the %d. Depending on the type, if a short, int, long, you make use of %d. Also, if it's a bool. But if it is a double, you make use of %f, lf. And if it's a float, you make use of f. Wow, I don't have battery anymore. Wow. So let's run this now. We'll get that value. See, now we are getting the value which we equated here. So I can just come here anytime and change this. I can put 5. I will get 5 in our console. So that's just it. That's just it. So going back, let me paste that again. Copy. So basically, this is almost what they wanted us to do. But the trick there was that they said it has to be this number has to come from this output terminal. So to do that, we'll make use of this is the printout statement. Printout statement, right? Printout statement. We have the print in statement as well. So to do this is not what they asked us to do. This is not what they asked us to do. So let me initialize this to 0. What they asked us to do to solve that, you now make use of scanf. Right? To make this video sharp and quick, just follow along. Say percent. If you really wanted to learn, you'd have come to, sorry to say this, you'd have come to class on time. But so just take it because I'm even exhausted at this. I don't want this video to be long, but check the other videos. You will get the understanding there. Get understanding the reason behind everything. So percent, what type? Percent D, because it is a integer type. So here I'll come here and put comma, then I'll put the AND address, then the name of the variable, which is number. This is how you write a code. There are 3 ways to write a user input code. This one is not sufficient enough. It's not even advisable to use this. But for your level, for the sake of exam, and for what the lecturer expects, and I believe this is what she even knows. If you go and do something else, she'll be confused, like, what is this one? She's expecting to say scanf. You are giving her something beyond her knowledge. You might fail it. So give this to her. So this is what they actually asked us to do actually. So if you run this code now, so we don't get any errors, and when nothing is showing, the computer is actually waiting for us to enter a value, right? So if I enter 7 for 8, for instance, if I run it, so we get 8. Now you might wonder that is not what's happening. Okay, let's say the number you entered is this one again. So if I enter 7, again the number you entered is 7. So but that's not what we've basically solved that question. So let me just copy and paste. Let me enter the number actually. Let me enter the number. I'll paste. So this is what they actually asked us to do. So this is the solution to that question we were asked to. So to make this better, you can come here, then the lecturer could say like, wow, I love this person. This person is very intelligent. He knows what he's doing. Please enter, or just say enter a number. Enter a number. So you can just put in that number, the enter a number. So okay. So names on this. Get enter a number for paste. You entered the number you entered is this. So that is it for question 4I. Okay, for question 4B. So question 4B, that's it. So let me just display the code again. So this is the code. This is what I asked you to do actually. This is how you, in exam situation, this is what you have to do. Write a code that can receive user input. So they didn't ask us to do anything else like calculation. Write a program to receive. Yeah, this is just it. So moving straight to the next question. The next question is binary. We've done binary. Check out the previous video, but this binary is different. I'll do a separate video on this, so let's keep it for now. But check out the previous video where I talked about binary. It's good you know the basics. So the next question says, list 6 industrial use of computer. You can browse this out. This is just normal computer knowledge. Wow. Then 5C, it says write a program to receive and calculate the average amount of daily temperature in the month of July. Write a program to receive, mind you, receive this time, which is user input, to receive and calculate the amount of daily. Write a program to receive and calculate the average amount of daily temperature in month of July. So let's write a code concerning that. I can get rid of all this all the way from here. So let me just do a printout statement quickly. Printout statement. The average temperature for the month of July is, so if we run this code, we're going to get an error because right here I'm saying %d instead of %f. So let's run this. The average temperature for the month of July is, so this is what they want us to do. So we're saying write a program to receive and calculate the average amount of daily temperature in July. So daily temperature. Okay. Wow. This question is simple, is simple but also technical. It's just one thing, you don't just rush to write code, you have to understand. If you understand, the difficulty in code is understanding what the task. So let's just assume they just say the daily temperature in Mondays and Tuesday. So you can say Monday is equal to, the temperature that day was 60 degree. Just assuming you don't put degree, please just leave it at 60. Also, you need to specify the type, right? So if I use int can actually short studies, right? So also can short studies. So which will be the best? It's best to use int, sir. The reason is being because so it's best to use short, but it's not best, rather is, I'll tell you why. Don't use int. If you use int can store up to billions, 21 billions, and you are using, just imagine you're using something that can store up to 21 billion to store a very small value of 60. You are abusing memory, which is wrong. That's why you use short, the least. But most times short is not safe. But in this case, just for, I'll explain why. Just for demonstration sake, let's just continue. Tuesday, the temperature came down, was wonderful, 40 degree. Okay, 40 degree. So say calculate, right? So let's say calculate now. We'll say short average temperature, average temp is equal to Monday Monday plus Tuesday. Spelling have to be correct too. So due to the fact of BODMAS bracket of, that's why I'm putting this. So BODMAS, the computer also follow that too, that rule of BODMAS, which says BOD, so bracket of division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. So let me get rid of this. So I'll say divided by how many? 2. Divided by 2. So now we're going to say 60 plus 40. At this case is 60 plus 40 divided by 2 because it's 2. So the average in this case, I'll not say percent. I want to print out average temperature. So I'll put this. If I run this, I'm not going to see the average temperature. So let's try it out. Okay, the average temperature for the month of July, of July is, you don't get anything. Let me change this to off. The reason is because we will not use our placeholder yet, which is format specifier. Now you're seeing the importance of format specifier. So the format specifier for short is what? Percent %d. So if we run this, we get 50. Beautiful, which is should be correct, right? Yep. 50, that is 100 divided by 2, yeah, 50. 50. So this is what they ask you to do basically. But just to go beyond, let's say write a program to calculate. Okay, write a program to receive and calculate the average amount of daily temperature. Wow. So it has to be Monday till Sunday till Saturday, right? So in this case, why I'm saying wow, it's too early to begin to jump into arrays, because right now this is leading to arrays. So okay, for the basic of beginners, a beginner will just do everything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is painful. But let me quickly explain something. What if the temperature, okay, let's say Wednesday. What if the temperature was something like 54.8? Let's just do a quick printf. Let's print this out. Printf. Let's see what our %d, right? %d. Let's see what Wednesday is actually. Wednesday. What do you think you're going to get? You should see 54.8, right? But that's not what you're going to see. You guess 54. You can see instead of getting 54.8, you are getting 54. It trimmed out the other part. Anything after the point, the decimal point, is going to trim it off. The reason is because you are storing a decimal number inside a integer type variable type, because you specify that the type here is an integer, so it is incompatible. So you have to change this to float. Now you are getting a very weird value because the format specifier does not match. So now our type is no longer in short, it is now float. So for float we use %f. So let's run this. Now you see we get the accurate answer. The reason for this, it is user input. The temperature can be in decimals. So that's why it is advisable, whether you even know it's an integer, you make use of float. 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 So a beginner but let me just do it for the sake of learning. But this is what we call God forbid. We call this God forbid. Like seriously, this is very painful. You can see how long it's taking me a whole lot of stress now. Despite I don't need to think much though. But it's painful really doing this, and you may be correct. It's correct. It will work actually. It works perfectly fine. And you will see something like this even in the material. But well, depends on you. If you can't actually assimilate the better way I will give, you can just stick to this. It's your choice. It's your choice. So Friday, Monday, Sunday. Let's just do for Sunday. Wow. Sunday. Sunday. 100. Wow. So we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now this is 7. Y divided by 7. But in this case, we are going to be plussing from all the way to Sunday. So we have Sunday. We have plus Monday, plus Tuesday, then plus Wednesday, plus Thursday, plus Friday, and plus Saturday. So this is it. We want to print out let me just comment this for there's a reason for it. uh so if we run this now, we should get, I hope the spellings are correct. Let's run this. Now we get the average temperature for the month of July is 70. And if you probably to have calculated this with your calculator, okay, you get 70. Now we are getting 70, right? Okay, let me change this to the average temperature. Let's really, is that really true? I don't really know. Let's compare. Let's compare. Let's see what our average temperature really is when it is a, at this point it is short integer. What if our answer was in decimal? Because right now we don't even know because we're not calculating. Let me now change this to float and see if it's still going to give us 70. You can see the original answer is 70.676842, but when it was short, it gave us 70. You can see the answer trimmed out everything after the decimal point, 70. So let me change this to D to get 70. So that's why even our result here, we have to make use of what? Float. So for safety, you got to use float. So let me get rid of this. I don't need this anymore, guys. So as a beginner, this is what you see yourself doing. But it's not complete yet too, because the question was actually receiving, sorry, float. So change this to F. The question actually was receiving user input, not assigning it yourself. You get? So then the next thing you now find yourself doing, you will see, you will now say, okay, 4%. Wonderful. You see scan F. Now this is very painful, like I said, very painful. It's painful, like seriously. You see percent F because it's a float. Then you add Sunday. Wow, this is stressful, really. You come here, paste, copy and paste. Nope. Copy and paste. Paste. Do the same thing here. Paste. And paste. Then you now begin to change this to Monday, Tuesday. Wonderful. Tuesday. Now is okay. Let me just give space for clearer, better visualization, because I'm even finding difficult to see, to differentiate what I'm doing. So yeah, you now begin to come here to change all this manually, but let's just do it anyway. Let's do it like this. It's good to do this to just get understanding, because the question ahead is far tougher than this. So at least if we can get the why behind the why, the reason behind the reason why we're doing what we're going to be doing later on, life will be better for us. So you find yourself doing things like this, and there's no error in this. Okay, we feel to, despite it may not be producing anything now, always ensure to add your and, which is the address. And stands for the address, in case you just want to know. And is the address. Kai videos in there. Okay, thank God I've set my video recorder